My dudes, it's your boy, Adam Ward, and the new Premier League season is upon us. And with that in mind, on this week's episode, I am joined by Arsenal fan Dylan Bhandal and Newcastle fan Al Bollands. And if you didn't know, your boy's a Liverpool fan, as we discuss all things the new season. If you're a fantasy football player and a listener of this podcast, why not join your boys' league on the official Premier League website? The auto-join link will be in the description of this episode with the league code 75JX6E to join and show your boy how it's done. So without further ado, this is episode 8 of Your Boy Cancelled, Your Boys Fan Focused.
Hi, this is Dylan Bhandal, and this is Your Boy Cancelled with Adam Ward.
My dudes, hello, this is your boy Adam Ward, and joining me on this week's episode is Arsenal fan Dylan Bhandal. Dylan, how's it going, my man?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And Al Bollands, friend of the podcast and Newcastle fan. How's it going, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you both for being here. So this is your boy Cancelled. As always, what are you boys both cancelling? Dylan, I'm going to come to you first.
I've got quite a big one, to be honest. It's a bit controversial. I'm cancelling Bartomeu and Barcelona as a club.
Dropping bombs straight in, Dylan. I like
That's
it.
a big one.
Give me your reasoning.
I mean, I'm biased because I'm an Arsenal fan, and we've had a long history with Barcelona absolutely spanking us on a daily basis. And obviously, the Champions final, I'll never forget. It's just the state of Barcelona, like, especially after the absolute arse whacking they got off Bayern. Like, I loved every second of it, I can't lie. And they're just so poorly run. The Martin Braithwaite transfer, like, that was just...
The whole dealing of that was
That makes me
unfair.
sad, yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
pisses me off.
But I do love that he asked for the number 10 if Messi left.
It was a sad state of affairs, and they didn't need him because they had Griezmann, because it was for the Suarez injury, wasn't it? But they had Griezmann, they had Dembele, that there was no need for them to get that player. And if it was any other club in La Liga, bar Real and Barcelona, then they wouldn't have let that happen.
Exactly. And the team he came from was fighting relegation, and they needed him. And I'm pretty sure as a result, they got relegated. Yeah.
I think that's a totally fair cancellation. Barcelona, I think one of the people who was up for election to be their next president, he said Barcelona are on the verge of turning into AC Milan. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. It's true. They really are. All their top players are aging. The players that they've got coming through aren't really to the standard of those players. I don't really think they've ever replaced Carlos Puyol.
No. Not at all.
So I'm in full agreement of that cancellation. Al, what are you cancelling?
Less controversially, probably less interestingly as well, I'm cancelling large prams.
Interesting.
Large prams. You know those prams that can have like 2 or 3 kids in them at once?
Uh-huh.
And then they get on a bus. And because they're in a pram, they choose not to sit down and they stand in the middle of the... And I can't get past, and then the driver's telling me, this happened the other day, by the way, this is what, it's quite raw, and the driver's telling me to move down, and I'm quite polite, but I want to explode and say, I can't move down because there's a large pram behind me that won't move back.
It's like you're being the rude one here when you're clearly not.
And also, 2 of the 3 kids in this huge limousine pram could definitely walk, or at least stand.
See, I was a very lazy kid myself, and there's definitely pictures of me from when I was like 3 in a pram. Definitely shouldn't be in a pram at that age. I'm definitely too old to be in a pram, but I was a lazy old boy, and I'd be like, I could do with being in the pram rather than walking. And I'm like so big in this pram next to my sister who's of pram age. Ridiculous. When you first said it, I thought you were saying some kind of football thing. And I was like, is this some kind of football terminology thing? Like something that maybe the ball got pushed in?
I was going to cancel Aston Villa, but we can't cancel another claret and blue Barcelona and then cancel Villa as well.
Yeah.
So this one's quite... I'm not saying large prams bother me on a daily basis. I just think sometimes they're too big and there's a lot of roadworks on my street and a large pram comes.
If you're doing public transport, you're not really thinking of other people with that gigantic...
That's the worst time, yeah.
100%. Especially with like social distancing and everything as well.
Completely.
Of course, yeah, completely.
I hate being near anyone. It's like when I'm in the supermarket, I hate if there's someone stood too close to me. It's like this, we've got this spacing for a reason. There's a dot there that you're supposed to stand on. Don't stand right behind me.
Thank you.
am cancelling summertime football Twitter. I hate it. It's so incredibly toxic because of all the transfer speculation, people kicking off about not getting signings, and especially the Liverpool fan base right now, for obvious reasons that we'll get into, is Twitter is an awful place to be right now for Liverpool fans. Horrendous.
Really?
Yeah, kind of boring as well.
Yeah,
Liverpool.
Definitely.
Not only is it annoying and frustrating, Liverpool's transfer, and I'm talking about on Twitter as well. All I'm reading, because obviously I follow a lot of Liverpool-based people, is I'm sick and tired of reading about Wijnaldum. I'm sick and tired of reading about Thiago.
Mm-hmm.
It's been quite dull on Twitter for Liverpool fans, I think.
Yeah, incredibly. I think the funny thing about that as well is that I think because we're so used to being part of that chasing pack, we're kind of forgetting how good the squad we have is, and in some ways, our 11 has kind of become the gold standard, I would say, of the Premier League. Not our squad as a whole, because I think our squad is lacking a lot of depth, and I'll get onto that, but I think because we're always so used to being like, oh my God, we've got these gigantic holes here and here and here in the team, and these things need to be filled. I think now that we finally got a team that doesn't really need a huge amount of work, your go-to thing is to say, we need to get these signings in. Chelsea have signed this guy. City have signed this guy. And it's that thing of being like, we need to make sure we're signing players, when really the squad we've got is pretty good. We only need one or two players just for depth. But that being said, what are your hopes and fears going into this season?
My hopes, sort of as a team, I would love to be in the top 10. If I want to push that even further, I'd love to be, I'm not saying, of course I'm not saying top 6, that's ridiculous, but I'd love to be 5 or 6 points off of 6th, 7 points off of 6th, you know, just a season where I feel like we've given it a real go. A cup run would be nice. We kind of had one the season just gone when we got to the quarters of the FA Cup. Again, I'm not saying we should be winning the FA Cup. I just love a good run in that, because
fan morale, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's, you know, for the last 12 years in the league, in the Premier League, of the years we've been in it, it's always been mid-table mediocrities, you know, survival. So a cup run is all we have, and I think, to Bruce's credit, out of all the managers we've had over the years, Pardew, even Rafa, Chris Hughton, and everyone, he's actually taken the cups quite seriously, which is nice, and I'd love to do that again.
Was it the quarters you got to last season?
Got to the quarters. We were hopeless against City in the quarters, but it was still a nice run to get there. And then finally, I'd love to see Matty Longstaff and Sean Longstaff kick on, especially Sean, because I think Matty is the better player, and I think Sean has got more. He's played more games at the top level now, and I think he's 22, and at that age now, I feel like you should be pushing on, getting to the first team more often. So it'd be nice to see them two in the first team somehow. I don't know where you'd put them, so they're my hopes.
It's weird how, like, at 21, if an individual isn't breaking into the first team, you start to, like, ask questions and think, well, is there something going on? Are they not going to reach the potential? And that's so young.
Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it?
To sort of early 2000s, late 90s, generally players weren't really properly breaking into the team until their mid-20s.
Yeah,
this time they're probably going on loan, and I think now, because of the emergence of players like Haaland and Mbappe and Sancho, people expect so much from a player from such a young age. Because Sterling at that age, when he was 19, 20 breaking into our team,
he was awful.
Yeah, I think the first season he had with us, he scored 2 goals. I think a 20-year-old scoring 2 goals from an attacking position for a top 6-7 team now would probably be shipped out.
Oh, definitely. They'd be sent on loan, or they'd be sent to the Championship.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. And you've got 18-year-olds now, like, who want first-team football in the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean,
some are good enough, but the vast majority aren't good enough.
Yeah, Curtis Jones regularly talked about it after he'd made a handful of sub-appearances and cup appearances.
I saw that.
In his post-matches, he was saying, I'm pushing for the first team. I want to be playing regularly in the first team. And you think, at the time, I think he was 18, just making his first couple of appearances in the squad at all. Dylan, how about you for Arsenal?
My hopes is top 4. I think Arteta's at the wheel, and I literally couldn't be happier. Even before Emery came in, I personally wanted Arteta, just because I thought, obviously, he instills everything we're about as a club. He's known us. He knows, like, the way Wenger plays, and obviously, I just thought, obviously, give him that time at City, but then just try it. Just, like, what's the worst that could happen at the end of the day? Look at United and how they stalled under like different managers. Chelsea have sacked like quite a few. Why not just give them a chance and just say, do you know what? We're not going to win the league or Champions League in the next 2 years, regardless of how good Liverpool and City are. So why not just give it to them and see what happens? And I think the way we've played, especially towards the end of the season against top 6 sides, we've never looked so resilient and well oiled and drilled.
I've been really surprised by the turnaround since Arteta's come in, especially with not being able to make huge changes to that squad and the way that you're playing it. Both times you played us in the league back end of the season and the Community Shield the other week, I'm really impressed by the way Arsenal are playing.
Yeah, I've got a good feeling about it. I think they've been
Definitely.
quite shrewd in the market as well.
I think my biggest fear, though, is just injuries and then field as well. It just doesn't look great. Like El Neni, starter, probably not. Xhaka, again, with the right person next to him. I know he's literally Marmite to the fan base and everyone within the Premier League, and everyone has an opinion about him, especially after the whole T-shirt incident and the cupping his ear at the fans. That was absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, I thought that was the end of him at Arsenal.
I did as well. Yeah.
I thought he was getting shipped out the next day. I was like, that's that. He's done. But fair play to him. And you know what? With Ceballos next to him, he looks a player.
Is he coming back this season? Have you got another loan?
Yeah. So that's like confirmed with no option to buy, though, apparently. I know we've been linked with Partey and Aouar a lot. Partey definitely, I think, would be the priority. We need someone like him. The last time we had a box-to-box was Ramsey, and he's not a 350k a week player like he supposedly, like Juventus took him. That's just that stupid money. And I agree with Arsenal wholeheartedly. You can't give him that kind of money after the whole shenanigans with Ozil and everything. Like, it's not sustainable. But at the same time, we need that threat from midfield. I think our midfield scored 3 goals last season, which is just stupidly low for a midfield.
I think it all depends on the system you play as well, doesn't it? It's sort of like the way that we play. People always talk about how our midfield don't score enough. And I think Keita this season is going to add a lot more goals to his game. I'd expect that. But I think the way that we personally play is we have that kind of midfield to do the dirty work so that the fullbacks can push on. And I think it's sort of a really lazy opinion that a lot of pundits have of there needs to be more goals from that midfield. But that's not the function of those 3 players generally in the system that we run.
Yeah, people always go on about Wijnaldum not having an assist or something in the last 2 years or something mad like that. I can't remember what it was now, but that's there's a reason he hasn't.
Yeah,
it's not because he isn't very good. It's because that's not the role he's playing.
I watched a YouTube video about the problems with fantasy football, and one of the things that this YouTube video was saying was the fact that defensive mids don't get enough points for what they're worth compared to like what they're doing in the game because of those stats, and how there should be more stats for your defensive mid getting clean sheets and your defensive mid making tackles, and if they're man of the match. Because there's been times where, say, Fabinho will get man of the match against City and he'll have 4 points from the game. And you think, how has that happened when he had such an amazing game? It's because he's not gotten a goal or assist.
He's such a good player.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, he is.
He's genuinely brilliant.
So who are you guys looking at being your star player this season?
You'd be stupid not to think it's going to be Aubameyang, wouldn't you? After what he's done for the past 2 seasons for us.
That is a great signing. I know it's a great move to keep him on, because there was like question marks, wasn't there, whether he's going to sign or whatever. So it's a brilliant move.
The way he was speaking after the FA Cup, I kind of thought he was moving on.
It did sound like it, didn't it?
I had fears, I can't lie. But then you know how it is with Twitter and those in the know accounts that are always saying like, he's signed, don't worry, don't panic. And I just kind of reassured myself that he was never leaving. So no surprises here. But if he did leave, I think I would cry myself to sleep at night.
Yeah, because he is so massive to the way you play.
100%. Like you saw in the Community Shield, all it took is him cut in, bang, goal. Like, who do we have in the side that can replace those kind of goals? Lacazette's good, but he's not 20 goals a season.
I think there's very few players really in world football who can do that. I think there's only a handful who are really capable of making those kind of gigantic moments in those kinds of games. Al, how about you?
I've put here Alan Saint-Maximin. Obviously,
I thought you would have gone with him. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Callum Wilson, though, because last year, obviously, we were absolutely devoid of a striker that could score. I don't know the exact figures, but like it was the first 12 games, our defenders had scored 50% of our goals. And Joel Linton, who I'm in the minority, I still rate as a player. I just don't think he's a goal-scoring striker. So the fact that we've signed Callum Wilson now, he had a bad year last year, but who is a proven goal scorer in the league, there's going to be a lot of expectation from him. And I think he'll, from the interviews I've seen, it sounds like he's going to enjoy that. It just feels really great to have someone at the club who can actually score 10 plus goals in the Premier League. So I'd go with Callum Wilson.
And he seemed really keen to join as well, from what I'd read.
Yeah. He because Villa, obviously, I think they put a bid in, and I don't know if this is true or not. Again, I read it on Twitter, so it's probably definitely not. Bournemouth rejected that because they knew he wanted to go to Newcastle. If that is true, then fair play to Bournemouth. But yeah, he wants to be there, and obviously with Fraser as well, that'll make it a lot easier for him to settle in.
Tasty signing.
Yeah.
I think
as well.
The two of them had a really good connection, not last season, the season before. So
I think they're the no two players have combined more in a single season than Wilson and Fraser. So if they can get them going again,
yeah, completely.
I'll Callum Wilson, the main man for me.
For me, it's got to be Sadio Mane. I think a lot of people look to Salah, and I think Salah's incredible, but I think this is the season. And I think we were seeing it. I've seen it a lot more last season, where Mane is becoming sort of like the focal point of our team. So I think this season he's probably going to be our top scorer, and he's going to be the one who's going to be going up fighting for Player of the Season. Depending on how we do in the Champions League, I could see him being a nominee for Ballon d'Or if that happens this year. But But yeah, it's all very up in the air. So in terms of the transfer window so far, how are you feeling about how your club's handling things? I know it's a very kind of unusual, unprecedented transfer window in general, because we don't really know what's happening in terms of fans being able to come back in the stadium. We don't know what revenue is going to be actually coming into the club to afford signings.
Before I mention Arsenal's transfers, can I just say screw you, Chelsea, because you got banned and then you ended up saving a load of money and it worked out completely in your favour, and you've now spent close to 200 million on world-class players. So Roman Abramovich, if you're listening to this, suck your mum.
I hate how perfectly it's worked.
He's a big fan.
It's so frustrating.
It is so incredibly frustrating because, and I think the most irritating thing is, was it not for COVID, we would have signed Werner 100%.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
He was doing it like him and Klopp. From what I've read, him and Klopp had already spoken. He was doing unprompted interviews talking about how much he loved Liverpool without even
Leipzig were tweeting about him as well, weren't they?
Yeah, and Leipzig, because I think he scored a hat-trick, and I can't remember who he scored a hat-trick against, but I remember the team he scored it against had said, Klopp, can you take him already?
Yeah, I think it was Frankfurt.
Yeah,
Eintracht Frankfurt.
Horrible. From what I'd read, they'd said that we had said to him, because we and Leipzig, because we didn't really know what was happening in terms of COVID, would they lower the transfer fee, which they obviously said they wouldn't do. Then we said to Werner, would he hold on for another season at Leipzig, which he just wasn't going to do. He'd had a similar situation at Bayern the summer before, when he was really close to joining Bayern and it fell through last minute.
Yeah,
I think from his point of view, he would have thought, like, I've had this other season at Leipzig where I've done amazingly well. I'm not going to do it again because it's time to move on, and it is the right time for him to move on. And I do expect him to be incredible at Chelsea, which pains me to say.
They have a bad history with star strikers, though, so you never know. There's a bit of me that is hoping he just flops real hard, Torres or Morata style.
Yeah. Shevchenko.
That's what I mean. There's a chance. Crespo.
Esmond.
I mean, you do look at it and you do think, other than Drogba and Anelka to an extent, but I don't think Anelka was incredible when he was at Chelsea. He was good, but not anything to write home about.
No, definitely not. I think his stats are a bit overhyped.
Yeah,
and obviously that interview bigs him up a lot that he did on Netflix. With Arsenal, Gabriel, I'm a bit of a fiend for buying into the hype of players. I am the kid that watches YouTube montages and think, oh my lord, we've signed the next Puyol, we've signed the next Cafu, etc. But I do honestly think Gabriel's a decent signing, and he can't be any worse than Mustafi.
I've not seen anything of him.
I watched him against Chelsea, and it wasn't the best performance. But if it's not Mustafi, I'll take whatever I can get at this point. And again, as well, a lot of people complained about Willian. It's Chelsea's retirement home after David Luiz, but his output was decent.
Yeah, I would have loved Willian. When you look at his stats compared to the rest of the Chelsea team, he was always.
I think Willian's a great signing.
Yeah, unreal signing. I would have.
Honestly don't see why not. And I think obviously it's competition for Pepe. It helps if it helps Reece Nelson get better. That is a big win in my eyes. You need experience in the squad. You need people that have been there and done it, and he has.
Yeah. And also he seems to buy into Arteta's plan from what I've read, which is so key with those experienced players.
With Gabriel, obviously it's his first season. Is he a starter for you?
I think it'd be a lot to throw him in on against Fulham away and just kind of say do your thing, especially when he's not proven and the Premier League is 10 times harder than any other Farmers League out there.
Young defenders coming into the Premier League, it can be a daunting prospect.
Yeah. It's a steep learning curve, and Arsenal fans are not the best when it comes to you make one mistake and they're on your back for the rest of your life, and they'll absolutely hound you and threaten to beat up your wife like they did with Xhaka, which is absolutely awful. You can't start, surely not. I think it has to be. I think because David Luiz got injured, he's got like a neck injury or something. So I think Holding's now in contention to start, and Saliba's like 18 years old, so he definitely can't start. He needs another 2 seasons. He needs weaning in.
It's a weird one with Holding because I don't rate Holding at all. But the games he's played against us, he's always looked good.
I can't lie. I've always been a bit of a big fan. Like Wenger said it himself. I think an interviewer said, did you know Holding was going to be so good? And he just said, well, I'm sorry he didn't cost 20 million and only 2 million from Bolton.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. But
he was linked. It looked like it was a done deal to us actually. Like a week ago, it looked like he was coming to us, and I'm like, I wasn't overly thrilled with that. Is it injuries that means he's probably going to be staying at Arsenal for at least until January?
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously the Luiz neck injury, apparently they don't know how serious it can be, and whilst we have Saliba, Socrates at the moment, apparently he's going to Napoli, but we'll see. And Mustafi's not been bad, but Mustafi's Mustafi, and he's got a mistake in him somewhere at some crucial point in the game, and you cannot afford that.
I was massively surprised by the turnaround in David Luiz. I thought he was going to be a complete flop for you.
Which game was it where he came on because was it against City, wasn't it? Mari gets injured.
Against Man City, yeah.
He comes on with a big fat grin on his face. He leaves that ball to run across his body. They score. Oh my lord! I was absolutely losing my shit.
Yeah. He gave a penalty away as well.
He did. And then he got sent off.
I think I made a meme about it at the time.
I lost my shit.
Yeah. He's another one like Xhaka. I thought, well, that's the end of him. He is out the door as soon as this transfer window opens.
Yeah. And then obviously he signed the contract, didn't he?
Yeah, he really stepped up as a leader.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, he's done well. Again, he's David Luiz. He's got a big time mistake in him somewhere, but hopefully we can start weaning them out and start getting in the younger, better players, and I think we'll be all right. I don't know. We'll see.
I think we're like the dark horses of this transfer window. I think it's the most sensible window we've had under Ashley in terms of four. Well, we've got 5 with Gillespie, but he's a third choice keeper, so he won't be playing much. But 4 Premier League proven players. Lewis has obviously only had 1 season in the league, but he's very young, so he can learn. Hendrick's solid signing. I don't think he starts. I think he's kind of in there to rest players. I could be wrong. But I think Fraser, Wilson, Lewis, I think they're absolutely solid signings. Yesterday, the club came out, spoke about the Premier League and the Saudi takeover and how angry they are that didn't go through. And in the last sort of week, we're behaving like a normal club.
It's very unusual and very unlike Mike Ashley's Newcastle.
Yeah, and also when the takeover fell through, I thought this is going to be a terrible window for us. We've been banking on this takeover for so long that I didn't think there'd be a plan B for if Ashley stays. But they're really sensible signings. The club are communicating about the takeover for the first time, and there's a little tiny bit of optimism at the club at the minute, I think, and we've just let Lejeune go out on loan, good centre back, but I think injuries halted his progress really. I'd like us to get one more striker in, because I think Muto's going to leave, Dwight Gale's injured, Joe Linton I don't think will play up front a lot this year, so that only leaves us Andy Carroll and Callum Wilson. And I've read about Ryan Brewster. I love Brewster. Yeah, I don't know if, I don't know how much he would be. I think unless it was a loan deal, I don't think we'd go for him, and I don't think Liverpool want to let him go on loan. Is that true?
Yeah,
or
from what's been out over the past couple of days of like time of recording this, is we'd sell for around 25 million with a buyback clause.
But the buyback, interesting.
Yeah, I think that shows kind of how hard up we are right now, which is a bit concerning.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in a normal window, we wouldn't be looking to sell Brewster at all. But I think the big problem that we have at the moment is we've got players like Harry Wilson, Gruitch, Karius. There's a few players that are on the books that really we look to be getting rid of. Possibly even Shaqiri, just because of his injury record. I think he's a great squad player, but he just missed so much of last season that it's not worth having him on the books if he's not going to be available.
I was going to say, did he make an appearance last season? I literally didn't see him.
I think possibly about maybe 10 appearances, around the 10 mark. He did not make a lot of appearances. And there was a lot of games that I looked at, cup games especially, and just a different option in games that he just wasn't available for. He just seemed to be consistently injured. And I think a part of that, I mean, I could be wrong here, but he had very thin hair at the start of last summer. And he's away for 3 months or so and comes back with a full head of hair and a very strong hairline. So I'm not saying that's the reason he was gone for so long, but it does seem to be part of it. So far this summer, we've got Tsimikas from Olympiacos, I think it was. He's like a backup left back for Robertson. He looks a solid player, but he has COVID. So he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, and that's the only signing we've made. Like I was saying before, I don't think we need to make a lot of signings, but if we kept Wijnaldum and somehow managed to get Thiago over the line, which seems very unlikely to me, then we need a fourth choice centre back, which I wouldn't mind if that was a youth player. We've got a centre back.
Is it Van der Berg? That's quite good.
I don't rate Van der Berg, to be honest.
He scored, didn't he, against Blackpool?
Yeah, he scored. It's not the last pre-season game, but he looks very shaky. And there's a guy called Nat Phillips who we loaned to Stuttgart, and we brought him back from the loan in January. He played against Everton. We beat Everton in the cup. Then he went back to Stuttgart on loan. It was very strange, but I wouldn't mind him being fourth choice. And he's had this loan last season in the Bundesliga, or it might have been in the German second division, but I think he'd be a decent fourth choice. There's another 17-year-old centre-back we've got coming through who looks incredible, but again, he's very young, and I wouldn't want to throw him in just yet. I'd love Sarr from Watford, but the talk is he'd be 40 million, and I don't think we'd spend 40 million on a player who's just been relegated.
Especially on some, and 40 million on someone who is not going to start.
No. But just for rotation, we're not spending that kind of money.
Yeah. That's Man City level spending that on someone who isn't going to play.
Yeah, and we're just not really going to do that. I just don't see that happening. No. But that's what we need. We need another centre back. We need someone to rotate with the front three, and ideally Thiago and keeping Gini. If those things happened, even just Sarr and Thiago and Gini not going, if that's how the window finished, which I don't think it will, I'd be very surprised if we make any signings now. I'd be really content with that as the window. In terms of the end of the season, I think, Al, you touched on this a little bit before. What would be your ideal ending to the season for your specific club?
It's got to be top four, doesn't it? It's got to be, I think, a good chance we could win the Europa League this season, definitely. Obviously, top four would be an absolute dream. Realistically, I think it's going to be top six, and a Europa League win to get us back in the Champions League. I'd be absolutely chuffed with that, to be honest.
And I think you've got the squad capable of winning the Europa.
I think so. I think, obviously, the Olympiacos loss last season was a raw subject, and I was absolutely pulling my hair out, and I think I need to do what Shaqiri did and go see whoever he saw, because I'm definitely receding after that night. We just absolutely bottled it, and I think, obviously, as much as I hate watching Thursday night football, I think we do have a good chance of winning it this year. And I think whenever we've come up against the better sides, we seem to play well, especially the Italian sides. We seem to tear them a new one every time.
Yeah. Al, how about you?
I would say, like I say, top 10. I mean, let's be realistic. 7th to 10th. 7th would be incredible, but 7th to 10th and a cup run. I think there's this huge false opinion that Newcastle fans are deluded, which winds me up, because if you asked any decent Newcastle United fan, if you offered them a semi-final in a League Cup, FA Cup and top 10, they'd bite your hand off. I would be delighted with a season like that. Just something to, progress. Everyone wants to see their club progress, even if it's slightly, and we just don't seem to do that. We either get relegated or finish 14th, 13th, 15th, So even if it was 11th, but you could see a different style of play, which I think, to be fair to Steve Bruce, he's bringing in. We were used to 5 at the back. He changed it to 4. It didn't work. It's slowly beginning to work a little bit. We're certainly better on the eye than what we were under Rafa. So, yeah, I'd go top 10 and maybe like a semi-final in a League Cup, FA Cup, something like that.
For me, obviously, I'd love to retain the title. I don't think we will. I'd love it if we did, but I think to ask this squad to not have any real competition coming in for places, and to expect this group of players to do it for the third season in a row. I feel like there's going to be a bit of a drop off. And I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like there will be a drop-off, and I feel like we'll probably finish second. But ideally, I'd love to win the title and a cup. If we won the title, had a good run in the Champions League, and then won a cup as well, that'd be a perfect season for me, to be honest.
Cancel.
Cool, recording again. How was both of your breaks?
Delightful. Topped up my tea.
Topped up the Pepsi Max.
Pepsi Max on a Thursday night, you weapon.
I'm a wild child.
Yeah, I'm getting to that age now where I'm thinking about getting decaf coffee.
Oof.
It's all happening now.
That's definitely a lifestyle choice, that is.
It is. Only
I'm not, which I do not support.
Not for all the time. Because you see, this thing is, so Erin gets this, so I've got this, you see this coffee machine that I've got over here.
Nice
setup. So I get the coffee pods, and I always get these Shoreditch grind ones. So if they want to sponsor YBC, I'm more than happy for them to.
Shameless plug.
But there's these M&S ones that are really nice, and Erin got these decaf ones. And I was like, decaf coffee, but it was pretty good. So I think it's nice for like an evening when I don't really want to drink coffee after like 8 o'clock, but sometimes I fancy a coffee. So I think it's okay for that. I'm not going to go out of my way to drink it because I like a coffee to wake me up. Al, you're shaking your head.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think coffee should be coffee?
Yeah, I got into coffee to give the buzz. So take away that buzz, then I don't see the point really. It's like alcohol-free beer.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm in a bar, I won't get anything alcohol-free. I'll just get something. And if I'm not drinking, I'll just get something else.
You know what really annoys me? I keep seeing this on menus for places lately, and I quite like Heineken. And I've seen so many places lately that has the alcohol-free Heineken, but not normal Heineken. And I'll go like, it's the alcohol-free.
Pointless.
Yeah, like why? I'm just going to get a juice, or I'll get an apple juice, or like a Fanta or something. If I'm going to get alcohol-free, there is no point. So that's fair. Okay, so your top fours for the end of the season. Who do you think it's going to be? I will start us off. And Dylan, I apologise, I don't have Arsenal in this. In at 4, I think it's going to be Man United. I don't think their team's incredible by any means, but they have improved massively back end of the season, and they keep getting so many damn penalties. I think they're just going to scrape into the top 4. Not by playing amazing football. I just think that it's just going to happen in a very annoying Man United type way. Chelsea, 3rd. I think it's going to take a while for that squad to bed in. They've bought a lot of players. They've got a lot of quality. And I think they will be in the title race, but I just don't think, with the amount of first-team players they're bringing in, I don't think they're going to really properly challenge this season, but they will be challengers for the future. I hate to say, but I think Liverpool 2nd, City will win the title, and they'll win the title as their last hurrah, similar to Real Madrid beating us in the Champions League in 17-18, where the team's kind of getting on and needs a refresh, and this is going to be their last thing they do. I don't see Fernandinho being there next season. I don't see Aguero being there next season. And to be honest, if they don't win the Champions League this season, which I don't think they will, I think this is Pep's last season at City. And then they've got a massive rebuild job, and I think this is their last hurrah, basically.
The last dance, almost. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I don't see Aguero staying. He's not made it like a secret that he wants to go back to Argentina or somewhere else. And Fernandinho is one tackle away from crutches at this point, or a Zimmer frame. He cannot plug any more gaps in that team.
34, 35?
I think he's 35 soon.
I mean, in the same way that I don't think Barca have ever replaced Puyol, City haven't replaced Kompany. I don't think there's anyone in world football who's available who can replace Kompany. And as much as everyone said, it was Laporte not being fit for them for a big chunk of the season as to why they didn't win the title. That wasn't it. It's because they don't have Kompany in his leadership anymore. That's the big.
I was just going to say, as good as Laporte is, and obviously I'm not in the dressing room, but Kompany, you just know, was a big mouth in the dressing room, and you know they lost that. So
season, he was a mainstay for their running, and I think it was his goal against. Was it Leicester that they played, and it was 0-0 for so long, and then Kompany scores a wonder goal. And that was the moment I knew that City were winning the title. I think there's still 4 or 5 games left, and we were neck and neck the whole season. But that was the moment where I just thought, this is City's title. And without that leader, and now that David Silva's gone, who's a massive leader for them as well, I do think, I think it's the pessimism in me that says that they're going to win the title, as opposed to me thinking they're incredible. But I just do see them winning the title this season.
Funnily enough, your prediction is exactly the same as my prediction.
Oh, really?
I see Liverpool choking it ever so slightly, and I just think on the back of, it wasn't even a bad season for City, but just the way they lost and the way Liverpool cruised to it so easily, I know for a fact Pep had sleepless nights over that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like he'll come back with a vengeance and just absolutely wipe the floor with people.
Yeah, and I think the thing with us this season is we're not used to being in this position of being defending champions. We haven't been that in the Premier League era. And I'm not sure how this squad is going to deal with that pressure of we're the champions. It's going to be everyone's cup final playing us because we're the champions. And I think in some ways that could be a good thing because it might bring teams out against us. But I think that kind of people are figuring out how we play, and people are doing low blocks and getting everyone behind the ball, and that has started to stifle us a bit more than it used to.
So fourth, sorry, Dylan, I've got Spurs.
Wow.
Big shout, very big shout.
Big shout.
I've made no secret of my love for Mourinho over the years, and I don't know. I feel like they're gonna crank it up a notch this year. I've got 3 Spurs players in my fantasy league team. I don't know. I have a good feeling about Arsenal as well, if that softens the blow. But I think Spurs are going to nick top 4. Third, I've got Liverpool.
Wow.
Ooh.
I'm making no friends here, am I?
I've seen other people predict that as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. There's still a good few days left of the transfer. Well, actually, is it October that the window closes?
There's a little while left.
Yeah. So I think a lot could still happen. I don't know. I just like we said earlier in the episode. In the recording. Sorry, I feel like there isn't the feel-good vibe about Liverpool at the minute. I'm not saying that is going to, translate on the pitch. I don't know. I just, you need signings to freshen things up, and I just think
I agree.
Without that. Second, I've gone Chelsea. I think the signings are, apart from Ziyech, I'm not overly convinced by that one. But the other signings I think are brilliant. I think Chilwell, who I don't think is a £50 million player, but I think it's a clever little signing.
Yeah, it's an area that they needed as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just think they've spent big, but I think they've spent well. I think Havertz is a gamble that I think will pay off. I think Werner's going to pay off. And then obviously first I've got City. Similarly to what you said, Dylan, I think Guardiola's fuming at last year. I think he's just a really angry man, and I have faith that he's gonna put it right. In the interviews with him last year, you can just, even that fake little smile he does, I'm like, you are very annoyed, and I don't think you're going to allow this to happen next year.
I hate interviews. I cannot stand him in interviews. He's awful.
No, I can't really. I like you said, I don't think he's going to allow that to happen. I don't think they're going to steamroll it like Liverpool did, but I think they're going to put the wrongs right this year.
Definitely.
Ake's a good signing as well.
Yeah.
Very good signing.
In terms of Chelsea, if Chelsea finish third, have a poor Champions League campaign, and don't win a trophy, don't win a domestic cup, does Lampard go?
No way, surely not.
I think he should.
Really?
I agree with Al. I do think he should, because the money that he's spent on that squad to make this squad, there's this second season, he didn't improve their league position at all from when he joined. Because didn't they finish third the previous season, and they finished fourth the season with him, with more or less the same squad?
Well, I think he did fantastically last year with the whole transfer ban and whatnot.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I think he
hasn't got that this year though.
Well, that's it. I think he got the benefit of the doubt with the transfer ban, and he got a lot of goodwill because he brought in all these players from the academy.
Yeah,
Gilmore, Mount,
Abraham.
Mount, yeah.
Tomori's been pretty good.
Tomori, yeah.
Did some great things with those players, but now I feel like they're all going to fall by the wayside with the signings he's brought in. I don't really see Gilmore getting game time. Tammy Abraham is not getting game time ahead of Werner. And I think
that's why he's gone to Palace now as well, hasn't he? That's probably a good move for him, actually. Yeah.
He did well there last time.
I think a lot of that that people had for him is going to dissipate.
I just feel like he he is literally the embodiment of Chelsea, though. Like, I think
Yeah, he is.
Chelsea as a club and as a fan base owe so much to him. Like, even Mourinho now, like, I've been watching the All or Nothing Spurs, and even he just raves about how Lampard as a professional was brilliant, as a player, as captain. He is Mr. Chelsea.
But I don't think that happens with Chelsea. I think if the results don't go the way, that manager is gone. I thought Conte deserved more time.
They have a bad history of getting rid of people quick, don't they?
I think that's why I said he should go. I don't think if they finish third, bad Champions League, don't win a trophy, etc., he should go. But because he's Frank Lampard, I think they'll give him time, and they should really. But that with what they've spent, and you could argue they need time to bed in and whatever. But with what they've spent, they've got to be challenging on every front. I think
that's the issue for me. I think had he not spent 200 million plus, definitely give him this season and next season. But with the amount of money they've given him to spend, they've given him the money to have a championship winning team. And if they're not in the conversation properly, if we get to February and Chelsea aren't in the conversation, I think he'll go at the end of the season.
Oh wow! If they get a keeper, I think they're close to signing Mendy from Rennes. But if they can replace Kepa, I expect them to be challenging for the. I'm not saying they have to win the title for Lampard to keep his job, but they have to be in the race. I think.
Yeah, definitely. They need to put pressure on the top two.
Yeah, and you could see back end of last season, looking at that defense, they have no confidence in Kepa at all. Like,
he's got the lowest save percentage, hasn't he? Yeah. In the entire, even keepers that played like a handful of games, he's got a lower save percentage or something like that.
Bottom threes.
Rock bottom, I've got Fulham. I think this is trickier than the top four for me.
Yeah, I agree. It is trickier.
19th, I've got Villa, and 18th, I've got West Brom. Special mention to West Ham, who I think are going to be down there again.
I hate West Ham club.
And they're just a nothing club.
Yeah, they're just the South Everton, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I feared for Palace. I think the Batshuayi signing. I think did they have the joint lowest goals last year or something like that?
Yeah, they have
the Batshuayi signing. I think will sort that out. So I'd have Palace to survive. So I've got Fulham, Villa, West Brom to go down.
I have West Brom rock bottom. Mm-hmm. I have Fulham. I think they're just going to get absolutely abused, and I don't think they've learned their lesson from last time where they spent close to like 100 million and just got absolutely abused by everyone in the league. And this is more of a hopeful one, but I'd like to see them go down. I have a feeling they will. Brighton. I wouldn't mind seeing them go down, especially after what they did to us and the Mopé incident. And I just don't like Brighton.
Yeah, I thought you've got a vendetta with them.
I'm slightly biased.
Funnily, my bottom three is very similar to what you both said. So I've got Villa rock bottom in 20th. I thought they were shocking last season. They've not added to that.
They were so lucky.
Very lucky.
That is luck personified.
If Watford hadn't gotten rid of their manager, what's his name? I can't think of his name now.
Nigel Pearson.
Had Watford not got rid of Nigel Pearson, Watford would have still been in the league. 100%. 100%.
I don't know why they sacked him.
Yeah, it was absurd.
Baffling decision.
It makes no sense.
Baffling.
I think Villa are terrible. They're a terrible team. If someone, I don't think it's going to happen now because of the amount of money they spend, but if someone wants to come in and get Grealish, they are going to be like Leicester against Southampton every game if Grealish goes. It's going to be like that. That's how bad that team is. So they're rock bottom. I've got Fulham in 19th. I don't think there's enough quality in that squad, and they scraped through. They were not better than Brentford in the final. Brentford should have been the team that came up because they've got quality in that side. Fulham, not enough for me. They're 19th. I was undecided on West Brom and Brighton. I've got West Brom / Brighton. I don't think West Brom are fantastic, and they are a bit of a yo-yo club who always go up and down. I do like Brighton, and now that Adam Lallana's there, I do want to see them do well, and I'd be a bit devastated for Adam Lallana if Brighton went down, but I don't think their squad's very good.
I think Aaron Moy's gone to China as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Weirdest transfer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Very bizarre. My gut says West Brom, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Brighton. If I had to pick, I'd say West Brom as 18th.
Controversial opinion as well. I think Sheffield United are going to struggle.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I don't think they're going to have the same year. I think they're going to be in the mix. I think they'll stay up because of Chris Wilder. I think he's a fantastic manager, but I definitely don't see a top half finish for them.
All the talk is that Brewster goes there.
That would be a magnificent signing, I think.
Yeah, I think if they
definitely.
I could see Brewster having a great season with a team like that if he's gonna get the game time. So I reckon they'd finish mid-table-ish, 11th, 12th. But I don't really see them properly struggling. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the mix, like you say. Your top scorers.
Again, bias, but it's gonna have to be Aubameyang, isn't it? And I think if Harry Kane stays fit, you'd be stupid to not think he'll get 20 plus. That hamstring injury was massive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the way I look at Harry Kane is he's 27, is Harry Kane now?
Yeah, 27.
But for me, I feel like it's a bit like Rooney because he's played so much football at such a young age. I feel like he looks like he's 30 now. And I think by the time he is 30, he's going to look 35. I just think there's too much pressure on him from both England and Tottenham, and I think his body's given up.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just feel like you can't count him out though, because
You can't count him out.
He does when on his day he's unplayable. Like I wouldn't say he's particularly quick, but the shot he's got on him, it just absolutely tears through the net. It's ridiculous.
And he knows he's got great positional play as well. He knows where to be at the right time.
Fantastic.
To make that.
It's that desire to score. Do you remember against Stoke where he was claiming that goal that didn't look like he got his head to it? I would, if I was his manager though, I'd love that because I've got a striker who's going to argue every single decision about it being his goal.
Definitely.
So who have you got?
I've got Kane as well. Like I say, I think I expect good things from Spurs this year, and I think Kane will be top scorer because, like I say, that greed is everything you want in a. Not to make it everything about Newcastle, but I think we stuck Joe Linton up front. He doesn't have that desire. He doesn't look like he wants to get 15, 20 goals a year. Whereas Kane, he looks almost selfish because he wants to be the top scorer. He wants to get all the goals, and I think that'll work well for him this year. So I've got him top scorer.
If the Euros are later this year as well, he might come out with a point to prove.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, good point.
Especially with the emergence of Danny Ings as well.
Definitely, he's done well.
I'm going out on a limb and saying Timo Werner is going to be top scorer this season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. That would be huge.
More because I was so desperate for us to sign him, and I can just see that happening.
Yeah,
I could see him. I think
Sod's law.
I think it's going to be close between a few players. Aubameyang. I think one of Mane or Salah. Probably Mane is going to be up there.
Yeah, I'd say Mane.
But I can see Werner just making it.
Any surprise packages for top scorer, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. I could see Danny Ings having another good season too.
Definitely.
Because they're kind of building that team around him now.
I think Ollie Watkins may be within the shout. He's an interesting signing for Villa. They've paid way too much for him. But
outrageous.
I don't know. I feel like he might do a job. He's got the physicality. He's a big guy, and he seems to score. I don't know. I feel like maybe.
I just don't think he's going to get any kind of service though from that Villa team.
I mean, I think I wouldn't have him as top scorer anywhere near. I think we're going to have a much better season from Shea Adams though at Southampton.
Yeah,
he looks a player.
Yeah,
he's a good player. I don't know why it didn't work for him, but I think Raul Jimenez.
Yeah, he's in with us.
That's another one. That's another one. Yeah,
I could see him going at the end of this season.
Yeah,
to another English club, or
I'm not sure. I just think I could see him going if a Champions League club comes in for him for like squad rotation. I'd love for us to have him as a different option. I could see him
He's
going.
turning 30, isn't he?
Yeah. So
something like that. Yeah.
So I think he'd be looking for that last payday. But I could see him, if Wolves don't finish around the European places, I could see him, Traore, and a few others going.
Traore would be an interesting one because if he could finish, he would easily be one of the best wingers in the world. Like, it's crazy how strong and quick he is.
The game that we had, the away game against Wolves, he was all over Robertson. And like, it's very rare that Andy Robertson has a bad game, but he was all over him. Klopp really talked him up. But I think Wolves value him at something like 80 million, and I don't think they're getting that kind of money for him. I think he's being priced out like the same way Zaha was.
I don't think he's worth that, but he is he is very valuable to them. And like you say, he's not a great finisher, and I think his final ball sometimes, although was much better this year,
Definitely.
his final ball in the box isn't fantastic, which I think stops him from being that world-class player.
Well, that's
like
it.
you said.
And the numbers that he produces are nowhere near that kind of price tag.
No chance. No.
I think that's the concerning thing now, because I think with football now, a lot of the time with young players, the asking price is what you think they could be worth, as opposed to what they're actually worth now.
Yeah.
It's like the Neymar deal destroyed football transfers forever.
Yeah, it did.
I feel like Pogba didn't help either. 80 million was a crazy amount of money.
Yeah, completely.
Someone they let go for free as well. It doesn't read well, does it?
But top assists?
It's got to be
We'll have
KDB.
the same. Yeah.
It's got to be Kevin De Bruyne, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're all in agreement of KDB, aren't we? I think it has to be.
Yeah.
I think Trent's going to be up there again, but it will be KDB just because of where he plays. Your player of the season?
Based on my assumption of City winning the title, I can see it being Aguero.
And he's never won it before as well. He's never won it before.
Just because it's like you were saying with the last dance and everything, and his last kind of hurrah, I just feel like Pep will just say to him, switch it on. And if he stays fit, he's top 3 within the league straight away if he stays fit.
He's never won it before the whole time he's been in the Premier League. So it would be a fitting kind of end for him to get it. Al?
I'm a bit painfully predictable here. I've gone De Bruyne for player of the season again.
Yeah.
He's just the best player in the league, and that isn't reason enough for him to win it. But I can just see him having the same season, assists, goals. He sometimes captains the team as well. I've gone De Bruyne again.
And for me, it's been a bit of a running theme for me, but Sadio Mane, I think this is going to be his season. He got the fans player of the year this year. I think he's going to be the one this season.
I was just going to say, do you ever see Sadio Mane leaving?
No, I feel like a lot of it depends on what happens this season, but I feel like our team has finally become a destination team. And I think a lot of other teams like Real Madrid aren't the team that they were, Barcelona aren't the team that they were, PSG, they're starting to make more moves, but is anyone really bothered about going and playing in France? I think where we have become a destination club, which is what is so frustrating for a lot of fans that we're not making those kind of big signings, because I think we're capable of signing Sancho, but we're not going to spend that kind of money on a player, which is frustrating as a fan. Most clean sheets, your Golden Gloves.
Probably Edison, to be honest.
I've gone Edison. Mine's very Man City heavy.
Man City heaven.
Man City heaven.
I've gone Alisson. I think it would have been Alisson this season had he not been injured for 8-9 games, because he was only a couple of clean sheets off top anyway, despite playing 7 or 8 games less than Edison or Pope. So I've gone typically and biasedly that beautiful man Alisson.
Cancel.
Just to finish off the episode, we always finish with an unusual story. We could talk about Harry Maguire. We could talk about Danny Ings and Kieran Trippier running into each other. But there's only one story.
I've seen that, yeah.
I did.
That was incredible.
So much. But there's only one story in football really right now that everyone's talking about, and that's Phil Foden and Greenwood being very naughty boys. Oh, God. Have you seen the videos that have come out of the two girls? Like, on
the train station.
So cringeworthy.
Makes it seem so much worse. And then when they've actually got the shot of them inside their room.
So you've got that incident. You've got Harry Maguire. And then you've got England, how they played against Iceland and how they played against Denmark. Yeah. The national team is an absolute disgrace at the minute. It's just so bad.
Shambles, isn't it? It's such a shambles.
It's awful.
It's honestly funny you say that, because I've seen a load of people saying on Twitter they have never been prouder of this England generation. You've got the captain scrapping people in Greece. You've got 2 young lads supposedly going to make their senior debuts, and they're more interested in chasing some birds. And
not to mention,
and then Ward-Prowse scuffing a penalty spot up as well.
5-star shithousery. Like it's just everything you want from an England team, isn't it? Really?
Oh, it's just this is like the 1996 team, isn't it? Was it 96 with like Gaza on the chair with the drinks?
Do you know what I do? I get them all in a room and I go, right, Phil Foden, Greenwood, Ward-Prowse, everyone. If this is the route we're going down, we're getting Sam Allardyce in. He's promised never to do it again, and he'll teach you how to be a real shithouse. Okay, who better to manage a load of shithouse naughty boys than Sam Allardyce?
I mean,
Big Sam would do a job.
I think most England fans would be happy with a crazy gang style England team.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah,
it'd be more interesting.
Yeah,
way more interesting.
England are so boring, and those games were absolutely
painful to watch at times. Gareth Southgate is a waistcoat-wearing fraud, but that's a topic for another day.
And this is a controversial ending, but I think we fluked getting to that semi-final because we got a favourable draw.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I mean, we faced a real team. We got found out in Croatia.
It's not our fault who we played. We can't help that. But it was a very favourable draw. Yeah, there was a via a penalty shootout against Colombia, via a very dull game against Sweden. So it could have been a fluke.
And on that very depressing bombshell, we'll leave it there. Dylan Bhandal, Al Bollands, thank you very much. This has been episode 8 of YBC. We'll see you next time.